Hey, what's up? It's your boy, NFT Swiss, aka Swiss Caldera, and welcome back to my page.
Continues to spread all across the
Today
world
I'm going to be talking about, or not talking about, I'm going to be doing a reaction video to a YouTube channel called Economist. And this channel, they talk about financial status and prices and all type of things. I hope you like it. Stay in tune, like and subscribe. And to all my followers that have been supporting me since I started this YouTube page, thank you sincerely. I appreciate it.
Buying is going to make food and drink prices significantly higher. In some European countries, consumers are massively purchasing medicine as fears of nuclear strife intensify. Families are facing an extremely critical situation in Ukraine, with many on the brink of starvation. That's why food staples are flying off supermarket shelves, leading food retailers to reimpose purchase limits. Meanwhile, as the
really crazy. All this stuff is happening.
Russians are
There's only so much a man can do.
McDonald's burgers, iPhones,
I be telling people it's time to unite, but they don't listen. They don't want to listen to me because I'm not famous and I'm not flexing jewelry or thousands of dollars and stuff like that. But watch this reaction video. Watch the video.
Oils and fuel to prevent the emergence of food and energy crises in their respective countries. It seems like everyone is afraid of a supply chain disaster, and people are doing everything they can to stockpile before a global catastrophe occurs. We have a lot to discuss today, and before we move on, don't forget to leave a thumbs up in this video, and please subscribe to our channel to stay updated with the latest news. Almost a year after the last panic buying frenzy at gas stations, similar scenes are being repeated now all across America. Even before the confrontation between Russia and Ukraine began 2 weeks ago, gasoline prices were already climbing in the US. The conflict and the sanctions imposed on Russia by the West have only made the situation worse. Big names such as Shell and BP
like the wall poster.
confirmed
I love anime, by the way.
Purchasing Russian oil following the aggression in Ukraine. This means that oil from other suppliers is also becoming significantly more expensive, and U.S. consumers are already feeling the impact at the pump. This week, gasoline and diesel prices have hit absolute record highs. Today, the average price for a gallon of gas nationwide reached $4.33, while diesel hit $5.13, both now at all-time highs, according to AAA. The group's spokesperson, Linda Lambert, revealed that AAA has already received several reports of people panic buying and hoarding gas. More worryingly, drivers have been filling up inadequate containers with extra gas. Lambert highlights that this kind of behavior is both dangerous because fuel is so flammable and unnecessary because despite the rise in prices, there's still plenty of supply.
My name is Daisuke Okamoto. I'm from Japan, and I'm making art with
supply. Consumers, however, disagree with that. As gas prices rise above the $5 mark in some states, drivers find it necessary to protect their finances and stockpile before it soars even more. But on the flip side, panic buying tends to push prices higher, as explained by the economics professor Dr. Michael Clark from the University of Kentucky. He argues that this is a basic supply and demand issue, and hoarding gas would cause bumps in prices for other goods as transportation and production costs rise in response to oil hikes. Clark said really what it's doing is adding to these inflation pressures, and households will end up having to bear all of that increased cost. But reports of panic buying at the pumps continue to make the headlines. In St. Charles, Missouri, gas hoarders were spotted filling up dozens of plastic containers. In a video shared online by a local woman, drivers were first filling up their cars, then gas containers, and after that they started to pour gas straight into plastic bottles. I would say there were probably 8 different containers and all were plastic, the woman said. I saw a milk jug, a juice jug, water bottle, several big gray totes, and they placed them all in their cars. They looked like they knew it was wrong, but they just didn't care, added the driver. The woman, who identified herself as Trudy, whipped out her cell phone and caught the reckless drivers in the act. I was like, aren't you worried about that kind of spilling over in your car or afraid of having an accident or something? One of them said, not at all. We're just gonna fill up, she continued. Another driver said it has been stockpiling gasoline to sell it for other people when shortages begin. The move has sparked outrage online, with one Twitter user commenting on the video that it should be illegal to take advantage of the situation when everyone is practically struggling to recoup whatever losses and savings and income they've gone through in the past 2 years, he wrote. Local authorities warned against hoarding and overpricing of gasoline amidst skyrocketing prices, but AAA analysts do not expect this trend to go away anytime soon. Similarly, one insider at a UK trade association is telling politicians that a panic buying frenzy is making a comeback at the country's stations as drivers fear further surges in fuel prices. What we are facing at the moment is more shocks to the system. Consumers are filling their tanks up in desperation and panic. The longer this goes on, the more instability we're going to have in the market, he warned. This is a shock to the system that will impact on fuel prices and availability in the longer term.
Gas prices is high.
Some stations
it was
in the UK
down here.
reporting that
every week it
hundreds
goes.
of cars are forming huge lines as drivers rush to purchase fuel. Others are running out of a month's worth supply of gas in a matter of days and being forced to temporarily close. Prices continue to go up because there's so much panic buying, he added. Surging fuel costs will ultimately push up the price of groceries and also restaurant meals, food and drinks, the insider said. In Ukraine, too, gas stations are swamped by drivers planning to flee with their families. Local reports also highlight the dire conditions at supermarkets. Shipping companies are unable to
a lot of people is panicking buying oil they don't even need yet for the future because the oil prices keep going up. And I understand. And there's also people stealing gas. I mean oil, gas from the pipeline in the car, making holes in it and literally taking oil from somebody else's car. I don't know how the fuck they do it. It was crazy, man.
To make things worse, supermarkets and grocers are having to impose purchasing limits and ration supplies to avoid people from panic buying whatever is left in stock. Residents are also reporting shortages of cash as the nation's ATM machines have run out of money. On top of that, people have been so scared of nuclear strife that they're panic buying iodine tablets, not only in Ukraine but all across Europe. Consumers have been in a frenzy to stock
everything
up
is
on
going
medicine,
up. It's not just the oil, gas. It's not just that.
medication
Food is going up. The rent is going up. Inflation's hitting everybody in all types of levels. It doesn't matter if you're one of the 1%. It doesn't matter if you're middle class. It doesn't matter if you're minimum wage worker. This shit is hitting everybody.
For 24 hours.
My personal opinion, the best thing you can do is start a business right now. Promote yourself. Start a business. Achieve something besides a job, because a job is not going to save you.
Contaminated radioactive air, food, or water, experts explained. According to Bloomberg, there has been a 100-fold increase in demand for these tablets all across Europe ever since Russia threatened to launch a nuclear attack, with pharmacies out of stock everywhere. Meanwhile, Russians are forming huge lines outside stores after companies announced widespread closures this week. Over 100 companies are ceasing operations in Russia, and people have been in a rush to buy everything they can find before stores close their doors for good. A viral Reddit thread showed a horde of McDonald's burgers in one person's fridge, a sign of how desperate Russians were to secure their favorite meals before the shutdowns. The person was reportedly selling McDonald's menus and assortments of sauces for a staggering $800. Many residents confess that they're buying all the supplies they can find, to resell for a profit later on. That includes Starbucks drinks and Coca-Cola. Also goes from Victoria's Secret lingerie to designer clothes, Rolexes, iPhones, Apple Watches, and other imported electronics. Photos revealed customers lining out stores' doors as men and women went on panic buying sprees. In a recent video footage, the lines weave throughout retailers' doors and even wrap around the outside of the stores as shoppers wait to buy their last U.S. imported products for a while. One shopper lamented the situation and also expressed her opposition to Russia's invasion. She said,
they even stockpiling on McDonald's food. They think that's valuable. The Russians,
against him.
They going crazy over there, man. That guy Vladimir Putin, he's an asshole. We gotta take him down, man.
To look at all this.
Somebody gotta take him down because he's fucking up the world. And the world's already fucked up, but that nigga making this shit worse. That's a fact.
Shocked. You basically have Russia becoming a commercial pariah.
Like and subscribe.
Lovely, a senior fellow at the Peterson Institute for International Economics in Washington, D.C., highlighted in a recent interview. Pretty much no company, no multinational wants to be caught on the wrong side of U.S. and Western sanctions. While consumers scramble to stockpile, governments around the world are also hoarding food and energy supplies as chaos reigns in the global commodity market. Food and energy security and self-sufficiency are becoming top priorities for global leaders, given that the worsening conflict between Russia and Ukraine is having a major impact on grain exports and global oil supplies. Over the years, many countries have positioned agricultural production toward exporting key products to foreign markets rather than ensuring food sufficiency. So even though nations can be big global players in the global commodity market, most of them are still hugely dependent on shipments for wheat and crude oil. Now, several countries, including China, Hungary, Bulgaria, Lebanon, Romania, Norway, and Indonesia, are hoarding food supplies such as wheat, barley, and corn, as well as vegetable oils and
serious out here.
Their energy reserves.
Very serious out here.
Or placing restrictions on
everybody
exports.
needs to pray.